Hello, welcome. This is Deana with Impressive Warrior back again for the Daily Dharma. Today I've laid out all the cards in advance and I'm looking through this and it seems to really be talking about the South Lunar Node. This is a mathematical point in the astrological chart, and by this we can see this placement at the time of the birth and as the ongoing movement of the sun and the moon in the sky. And so at the point where the sun and the moon are at the same angle from where we're viewing from Earth, we call that the ecliptic point. When the sun and the moon are intersecting, we have one blocking out the light of the other, or we have an alignment oppositional, like my face would be the Earth and sun and the moon opposite, so then the Earth intersects and blocks out the light of one or the other depending on which side of the Earth we're viewing from. So what we have here is South Node. So in order for me to describe this to you, we need to, just for those that aren't astrological adepts, to kind of bring them into where we're at here. The North Node is the point of our destiny, the point of growth and stretching ourselves, reaching ourselves towards something new, whereas the South Node is known to be a point of already having accumulated certain knowledge or having come from a place of having mastered some type of a lesson. And so coming into this world, into this incarnation, bringing the light of Source, Spirit, God, Universe into the embodiment process is then said to have links from past experience, as in past lives, or the accumulated Akashic heritage of humanity, some type of knowledge where we each come into this world with something that we're really good at or something that we're really drawn to, and we seem to be a natural at this. When we try it, it's easy. We don't have to work very hard at it. Some people have the gift of gab, let's say. Other people have a really great ability to nurture and soothe. Other people have a really innate ability to be leaders in this world, and other people are great at supporting different processes and different people. You can gather what you're good at. It might be something more concrete, like you have a great artistic flair, or you have this beautiful ability to put colors and textures together, something visual. You might be somebody who's always been gifted with music ability, song. I'm sure that you know some of the things that you have been unexpectedly good at. And some of these things might not be socially revered, but nonetheless, these are skills that are innate to your personality, and seemingly you haven't needed to practice at it, but it's been easy for you to work through those and to gain more and more mastery over those. And sometimes we can, from an early age, begin to judge these aspects of ourselves and kind of leave them to the wayside because, well, there's maybe two types of ideals on that. Some people may stay in that zone forever saying, well, this is what I'm good at. I'm just going to stay here with these blinders on and stay steady and true to this in my comfort zone. I'm going to just be a leader. I'm going to say, well, I'm good at this, so everybody else needs to just kind of nest below me. And if people don't want to nest below me, I'll go over here and find other people to follow me around. Where another person would say, well, I'm already really good at leading and I just feel like there's no growth there, and I want to see what it would be like to develop other leaders because of my ability to understand how to lead. then I can take these people who would normally follow me and I can instill in them the ideas, and I can look at the things within their character that seem that they could be tweaked or something, and I can help them to become a better leader. And so this person is then learning how to be a supporting member of a group because they're raising up other leaders. So take this into context too with your early childhood environment. Generally speaking, many times you will see in a family unit, the parent, one or both parents may, well, probably just one, but maybe both, would maybe have the opposite lunar node axis activated. So this did happen in my upbringing. So to have this easy example for you guys, my north node is in Libra. So what I'm stretching towards is to be that contributing member of a group, to understand leadership within the context of a group. And my south node is in Aries. So from an early age, I was doing my own thing. I didn't think twice about it, but I didn't ever consider myself to be a leader, because before the point where I had context for the social, I was already being nurtured to temper my leadership potential, to temper my voice, to temper my power, and to just go with the group. Just don't be that squeaky wheel. You know, nobody likes somebody who knows too much. Go ahead and be part of this group. And so from that early age, I began to say, oh, well, being this leader seems to invite people to pick on me, or to say that I'm being too confident, or say that I'm being too much, or to this, to that. And so we subtly begin to shape ourselves in the mold of what other people would be more comfortable with, or not. Take it in your own experience. And my mother, on the flip side, her south node was in Libra, where she had already been comfortable within the context of being the subtle member of a group, one of many. And her difficulty, her strength to be developed within her was to develop leadership. And so we can see this within ourselves and our parents, where from an early age, they want to teach us the lessons that they have been trying to learn in some ways, and also to nurture into us their expectations for their south node, their comfort zone. And so then we can develop strengths and weaker points and liability points because of the nurtured environment, as well as our understanding and misunderstanding of our own soul journey. So in Vedic astrology, which is different from the Western astrology that I generally practice, you will hear them call the north node the dragon's head, and the south node the dragon's tail. So it's like going the way that you're going. You can kind of take it that way, right? What are we approaching? What are we supposed to chew on? And what are we supposed to sort of release? And it can be misunderstood, where from an early age, like I'm saying, we can begin to judge that process. And then this, instead of being an asset, we can think that our comfort zone is a liability, and we can judge this and shelf some things that we're good at, taking them for granted, and then becoming frustrated with the difficulty of the north node, or some type of something else in your own life. So take these messages and just kind of work with them in your own life and what's developing for you. So the first cards that I laid out for you were from the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle deck, and I got 2 chakra cards first. popping out the heart chakra and the crown chakra. And so to me, this is the heart and the mind. So I initially heard, okay, there's this struggle between mind and heart, where the heart feels intuitively guided, where it feels sparked and inspired, because heart is an air sign. And then the crown chakra is very subtle, very etheric, but then because of the human dimension and because of other people's input and because of the strength and the powerful nature of the mind, we can become embroiled in judgments and discerning what is and is not best for us, other people's expectations, and the pressure of being sculpted by our environment. And so it says the frequency of the crown chakra, the violet flower of life, supports our spiritual connection to the universe and our ability to transmute negative energy into light. And I feel like this crown chakra, I just looked up and saw 1111, I feel like this is talking about our intuitive ability to create meaning through experience is somewhat manipulated by the human dimension, by the attempt to understand the great mystery and to get ahead of the game. We make assumptions, we take patterns and we assign that patterned meaning to something else that hasn't been determined yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Taking something and saying, because of this, then I know that the future is going to be the same, or I can surmise that this is going to come, that everybody is going to be like this, or that because of the way that I have been, or the struggles I have been through, that I have this limitation, or I can go this far, and if I get lucky, maybe this far, just a little bit further. So that crown can be somewhat eclipsing the heart. The frequency of heart chakra, the green flower of life, supports our capacity to love deeply and unconditionally. Its healing properties harmonize the mind and the body. So the body is the north node is like the spark, the fire, the clarity, reaching forward. It's like that essence of reaching forward. And then we have the body being this, so yeah, I forgot to say, so this reaching forward, this clarity is like the sun, the essence of clarity and illumination and what our goal is in life. Where the south node can be more like the body process, the limitations. It can be equated more to the lunar realms of the moon, where we have some disclarity, some shadow aspects coming in because of the lack of clarity. So it can be misinterpreted, it can catch us off guard, it can have us mired into something that we've misunderstood for long periods of time. So let's move forward. So there's this battle between heart and mind. And then below that we have a line developing, number 40, soul time, speaking about, I'm seeing with this figure 8 here coming through the center here, it's reminding me of the lunar nodes, the south and the north, this earth in the center, and this dance around the center. And by earth, I kind of equate the earth more as the body as well. So I want to say that, let me pause that and get you all the cards. So soul time, number 40, 12, change, coming in directly after that. 26, empowerment. 38, remembrance. with that Akashic inheritance. And then we have Divine Feminine finishing out that row, 21. And under the deck for this Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle, we have Passion, 34. So the main ideal here is that this battle between heart and mind has reached a turning point here based on either some type of divine timing, some type of activation within the heart and the mind, some type of external trigger, or some type of recommitment to meditate, some type of spiritual practice that has come back into your life, or maybe even some new skill or something that is new to you in this lifetime that you're a natural at, awakening you to some type of gift that's reawakening in your energy here. So then we have the combined Kuan Yin and Kali decks that we're popping out here. We've got Immortal Treasure, number 14. Again, let me just keep going. I want to just interrupt myself so badly right now. And then we have Mahavidya, number 16 from Kali. And under the deck there we have Tai Chi Rising, and under that I see Shining Lotus is number 26. And before I get off on my tangent here, there are so many number synchronicities. We have 26 on the table 3 times. Empowerment, Shining Lotus, and below here we have, in the mixed shamanic decks, 26, the hummingbird, that subtle energy. Then we have Will-o'-the-wisp, treasures, Immortal Treasures, hidden in the shadows, the misjudgment, the disclarity. And I'm seeing this moth energy developing here. And this is 62, which is the mirror image of those 26s. So it's coming directly below change. So it's like an about face, which I usually take as the transition card, but change is just as good. And it must come out for a reason. And I will say that 12, change, is the reverse of 21, Divine Feminine. And we have that someplace else too, I believe. Oh yeah, in the Tao messages here, we'll get to in a minute. Then we have, in the shamanic deck, continuing the Sun, that North Node coming under empowerment. Then we have 18, this eagle, eyes of the eagle rising above the fray, looking at the details and people looking at you perhaps as you do so. Then we have 55, the farther gate, a bold step forward. I feel like this is the Lion's Gate energy, and that's a 55, which we also have a 55 in the Tao Te Ching messages. Then we have a new line starting, 46, Root Girl, the disowned self, the judgment of the South Node. And below 62, we have 61, the preceding card, Whale Song, resonating. I wish that I could get these images to show through a little bit better. I'm going to work on my lighting for you guys. Bear with me while we're getting everything started here on the channel. Then directly below the 53, we have the 35, Lost Compass, getting back to integrity. Look at this epiphany glow up moment below the sun. It's like the sun suddenly hitting something that was in the shadows that looked vague, and maybe we thought it was something else, and then the light hits it and it's just like a tuft of grass in a weird shape, right? But the shadows distort things. Our preconceived notions of something, it's shaped like a small animal. So maybe there's an animal over there. Is it friendly or is it an enemy? Is it something that will scare the crap out of me? And then the sun hits it and we're like, oh, how ridiculous was that fear? All it is earth, grass, nothingness. It's safe. And then below the eyes of the eagle 18, we have 57, Unmarked Trail, Revelation. And then below the 55 and Divine Feminine, we have Deep Diver, number 10, Diving into a Task. Under that deck, we have the Staff, and that is a number 51. And then we have 3 Tao Te Ching messages. So here's where we'll get started on the real message at 20 minutes. How do other people make their messages so short, I wonder? So we have 2 cards popping out, and this one, admittedly, it makes me just sometimes a bit uncomfortable because of, well, you will see. Number 55. So while I read this, let's see this. This farther gate forward here seems to be this movement from the judgment of where we've been, who we've been, our past, present, future embodiment process, and then that light shining in so brightly, showing us that it's safe to, I just looked up and saw 2112. I'm telling you, the number synchronicities are just crazy today. But that illumination of the path ahead of you, like the, okay, I need to get to that in a moment, but under one of the Kali cards here, this Mahakali talks about how the sacred divine timing of something comes in the shape often of only showing us the 1 or 2 necessary steps so that we can move forward, but not showing us the complete path forward, because some of us believe that it's not formed yet, that we have the ability to co-create with spirit, with others, with our magic, with our confidence, and with our free will. And so is it really in our best interest to know if something's in the bag? Then would we put our best step forward? Would we strive to bring our best if we thought, oh, well, everybody loves me anyways, I can just be in my shadow all the time and they'll forgive me? Or is it sometimes in your best interest to feel like, well, maybe these people don't accept me readily, so I'm going to bring my highest and best forward? Not saying to yourself, well, they might not accept me, so therefore I'm going to be in my comfort zone, in my safety and security, and be what everybody would expect and be sculpted by the process, which is what many of us do as children. That's how we determine first our first coping mechanisms to become accepted by the fray, or even by our parents if we don't have that immediately supportive environment that tells us, yes, be crazy, be unique, be all that you are. I love you for who you are and for all of your wilderness. Bring that forward. Yes, do it. So 55, this bold step forward through this farther gate. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child in their wilderness, right? Its bones are soft, its muscles are weak, but its grip is powerful. It doesn't know about the union of male and female, yet its penis can stand erect. So intense is its vital power. It can scream its head off all day, yet it never becomes hoarse. So complete is its harmony. The Master's power is like this. He lets all things come and go effortlessly, without desire. He never expects results, thus he's never disappointed. He's never disappointed, thus his spirit never grows old. So talking about its bones are soft, so coming into this world in harmony with the north and the south node is like the Tao itself, and soul time puts us back into the eye of that perfect storm of positives and negatives. As far as like negative is contrast, it puts us back into ourselves. It pushes against us so that we learn how to gather strength. It's like the legs, the bones being so soft, the bones of the legs can often not support the baby for very long. Yet, as many of us know, when you support the child, they will push against you with their legs, extending their legs sometimes, and it feels incredibly powerful, and they can bounce and jump very quickly after, gaining some type of perception of, hey, I've got these arms and legs, and look what happens when I do this. It feels good to push against. That initial rooting reflex where the child grabs onto the mother or the father, the caregiver, and is able to grab onto either the breast or the bottle. It's like, yes, this is good for me. This feeds me. This nourishes me. This feels good. It knows nothing about the process. All it knows is that this is vitality. This is sustenance. I say yes to this. This is life-giving essence. And its bones are soft, so its structure, its stability is unmastered as of yet. When it's in divine union, it is just like an embodied blob of vitality. And in that moment of not understanding how to receive and how to reach out, all it knows is that its life is dependent upon taking into itself something that will sustain it. Its muscles are weak. It doesn't know how to get what it needs. But its grip is powerful. When it finds something, it clings to it. It doesn't know about how to reach and receive in that male and female, yet its penis can stand erect. And this is like that blood, that Holy Spirit that courses through our system is so strong within the self. It's not about sexual tension in the least. It's about it's about the body knowing what to do of itself. It already understands and goes through the processes without the mind engaging at all. So the mind, and also the heart is the very first thing that really starts to develop when a child is in utero. That heartbeat is like the first thing at the center of the process, of the spiraling process, that golden Fibonacci sequence, that golden ratio coming. It starts with the heart resonance, the heart harmonics, and the resonance of that heart song. And so it can scream its head off all day in the same way when it's displeased, when it doesn't have what it needs, and it doesn't even know what it needs. But because it is unfulfilled, it continues to ask, it continues to proclaim its authentic needs and its intention. So complete is its harmony. So how often have we faced injustice and thought, oh, well, I don't have the permission to be righteously angry in this moment. I should just say that anger is a lower emotion. But is it lower? Because when we don't become angry at an injustice, then many people will accidentally take on some form of like, I either created or engaged this and I didn't stick up for myself, and takes on some form of guilt or shame. We've been talking about that, or like a diminished ability to reach out. It represses the vitality. That's, I guess, what we're getting at. And so the first time I read this card, I was like, oh, are we talking about male impotence? And I think that we're talking about the divine masculine's impotence within masculine and feminine. in a different way. It's not on the physical, it's on the energetic planes where we are telling ourselves subtly that we should or could or have been encouraged to disown aspects of ourselves that were actually placed there not as a liability, not as something to be ashamed of or judge, but something there that has actually always been an asset if only we were able to look at it in the right light. And I feel like some type of experience, trigger, or epiphany moment or rededication to your own inner treasures is really coming to your awareness here. And the Master's power is like this. We have empowerment here already. He lets all things come and go effortlessly without desire. So not saying, well, if this happens, I wouldn't like that, but if this happens, I would like that. Like engaging in a new relationship. I would love it if I could find the perfect person right away and have no controversy, nothing to argue about. But on the flip side, many of us can recognize that with a little bit of friction comes a lot more polishing. In the same sense, the friction that the oyster has within it when it takes sand into itself, it creates this discomfort, and that sand is aggravating, and it eventually creates this release of different substances inside of it that develops this pearl. So is it sand that is so valuable? Perhaps it's the earth itself that has aggravated this oyster into releasing certain biochemical responses to this aggravation and frustration that develops this treasure inside. It has polished the inner gem. He never expects results, thus he's never disappointed. So taking things as they come with that radical acceptance of anything that comes to me, I will not fold if somebody doesn't like the hat that I chose to wear today, right? If somebody says that that they don't like my views on something that is deeply held, and they offer a different viewpoint, and I don't like theirs, we can agree to disagree. We can agree that we've had different experiences and that we don't see the thing from the same perspective. Just like the one is viewing it as a dangerous thing, something in the shadows, and somebody else is like, that's just the earth. That's just how it is. We're not here to be afraid of everything. Just don't expect yourself to encounter anything that you can't handle. And if you can't handle it, then you will gather strength. You'll gather experience that will help you to gain coping mechanisms to make it through eventually, right? And since we don't allow ourselves in that moment to be disappointed, which is a lofty goal that many of us cannot fully embrace. I mean, who could never be disappointed? You know, we don't play the lottery because we expect to lose. We would play the lottery because there's the potential and possibility to win. In the same way, that's why we engage in life. And that's why we engage in growth cycles, which can be hard, reaching beyond the comfort zone. But there's something else within the comfort zone that is telling us that that is a part of our sanctuary. That's a part of our inner inspiration. Something that immortal is, it comes through past lives. It comes through the portal of embodiment and is something triggering some activation within us, is triggering some type of treasure to be seen by others, I feel. The next Tao message, 28, know the male yet keep to the female. And so male is the outward, the reaching, the yang aspect of going out, expressing the mind. Even the mental aspects of thinking are harnessed under the airy element of the masculine, and reaching out with passion is the fiery aspect of the masculine. Feeling that passion of anger, passion in sexuality, the passion of creative spark, and the passion for life itself, for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because, like I said, without that contrast, would we ever reach for more? Would we ever know what the heck we're made of and bring that forward fully? Yet keep to the female, knowing your potential and knowing what you could reach out and push and control and make happen. Keeping to the female is about knowing that potential, remain open to receiving. Just because you're good at leadership doesn't mean everybody needs to follow you. Knowing you're a great leader is the best invitation to develop other leaders. And that's how we receive other individuals. And then we look at them, and we, as a leader, we're like, I can see that you have a strong ability to not care what others think so much. You have a strong capacity for creative solution discovery. You have an idea here of seeing what people's interests are, and you have the ability to see what unique quality this person is judging and hiding. You know, getting in there and keeping to the female is receiving other people, not even at face value, but really receiving them at the heart level and processing that through the mind and saying, I have a symbiotic relationship with every energy that seeks me, because I am also seeking it. Even if I could judge that as positive or negative, because I don't expect anything that challenges me to be negative, and I don't expect anything that coddles me to be positive, I have the open-minded potential to pass that through the wisdom of the heart and to receive the activation of good, bad, and ugly, really lifting that energy from that disowned self, from the root issue, from the tail of the dragon, and lifting that up and through the heart space and bringing it into fullness here, into fruition. Okay, so know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The primal self. Root girl, the disowned self. What is it that you have judged as lacking or unfit for social consumption? The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus, she can use all things. So even though you know the coping mechanisms and potentials, you know the comfort zone, you know the strengths and weaknesses and the challenges, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats, SWOT, S-W-O-T, analysis, coming to mind, yet keeps to the block. Knowing those aspects and elements, keeping to the block means that you don't expect, you don't project into the future, thus you're not forming your future into the same old utensils. How many spoons could you really use in a lifetime? So if you continue to make spoons and keep them all to yourself, you got 10,000 spoons when all you really need is a knife, right? There's a song about that. Who's that? Alanis Morissette? Isn't it ironic? That's the song. Isn't it ironic? Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay. Thus she can use all things. So every time you look at that block of wood, if you're like, oh, well, it's another spoon. I don't really need another spoon, so I'm just going to leave that block of wood there, uninspired. That block of wood could be 1,000 other things besides utensils, right? So in 28, did we have a 28? Just looking real quick. We did not have a 28. Under the Tao deck, we had the 12. Colors blind the eye. Sound deafens the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. Isn't it beautiful how this is talking about heart and mind? We're already at 41 and I haven't started really. So soul time is taking that inner journey of inner exploration and being of the beginner's mind that allows these things to gestate, to incubate, and to see things fresh. The frequency of soul time asks us to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge. There's that word emerge if you've been following the readings. One that embraces the concept that while the corporeal body is mortal, there's that word, the soul is timeless, limitless, and infinite. So we're talking about legacy and karma, dharma, and we come in not, I believe, not imbued with original sin and instant karma, unless, I mean, maybe some, but I say as a whole, I don't think that this original sin truly belongs to us. I think that somebody misjudged the shadow. They said, oh, well, we all come in here and there's this urge to be in our desire nature, to be comforted and to be soothed into complicity. That's the shadow. It doesn't mean that we were here as our initial character, right? And so we're here to define ourselves based on our limitless potentialities and our own block of wood, to be shaped in this lifetime, not only because of some type of karma. Many of us that are on this path of enlightenment and of healing others and ourselves have decided through a combination of that north-south node balance going on, and that dichotomy of push-pull between the two, and the cognitive dissonance of heart and mind struggling against each other, like, this is what I want, but is this my reality? Or can I do and be and say and feel everything passionately, just divinely inspired, and move without worry about slipping or falling? Because what's the difference between yes and no? The difference between success and failure that came out recently as well. This change of empowerment in remembrance of that block of wood is the divine feminine. The utensil is the male. The male is formed from zero, formed from the feminine, from that mother. So yeah, we're talking about a rebirth here that's happening. Yes, this change of empowerment of how we remembered things, our Akashic heritage and remembrance of all of the experiences that soul has had through body, through multiversal interactions. And this is empowering us to change our narrative about what our potential is. The frequency of change supports our ability to gracefully dance with the forever changing nature of reality, both inward and outward, so that we can appreciate the sweet release of the old and the birth of the new. And in this point we're at right now with this Lion's Gate, and having just had the new moon in early Leo, this is this pushing point, purging of the shadows that have obscured the beauty and the treasure behind the South Node, so that we can merge with the feminine, the perfect storm of the soul time. What has it birthed within ourselves, whether that's a perception of self and others, a perception of this world, an ideal of healing for more people. And it's empowered us. The frequency of empowerment supports our ability to show up fully and completely, uniting us with others in the deep trust that we're all connected through the same source. And we remember through this process of empowerment everything that we've encountered. The frequency of remembrance supports our memory of everything that we've gone through as a soul and body, providing us with valuable information and tools to flow gracefully with and in this life. So flowing, radical acceptance, soul time, bringing the soul forward into this experience passionately, changing our life, changing our inner landscape, changes the environment, it changes the attraction pattern, it changes our receptivity and our perceptions and our expression, and thus our entire life. So this too, it reminds me of that early patterning that happens. So we are divinely born into a situation, into an environment that is perfectly timed and perfectly challenging and perfectly daunting, so that we learn how to push against, to strengthen the skeletal and musculature of our body, as we learn how to flow in the earthly experience with the muddy dust to dust, lifetime to lifetime, remembering and bringing forward that we are a spark of that divinity, that we're a spark of divinity, not a devil seed, right? Getting yourself back from that point of demonizing those aspects or elements that were actually, the diamond in the rough. And then the divine feminine supports our receptive, nurturing, and soft side, allowing it to express itself openly and helping us to connect to our intrinsic understanding of our connection to all of creation. And I'm remembering this Matt Kahn. He's on YouTube. Check him out. Very gentle, soothing soul that has some real wisdom about self-love. And one of his sayings was that we have tried to shout at our shadow. We've tried to strangle our shadow out of existence. We've tried to demonize it, to polarize, to hide it, to coddle it. We've tried all these approaches, but have we tried to love it back into the light? And that's where that gentleness is like, I see you, inner self. It's not about being manipulative. It's about believing on some level that we are not going to be loved on the direct plane of being who we are. And so the child mind, the inner child, begins manipulating, because we need that sustenance in our life. We need that the milk of the divine mother in our lives. And when we disown the self, we abandon the self, then we do not understand how to be our own divine mother, how to be our own creator of nurturing and receptivity, accepting the self. Moving into the shamanic decks here. This hummingbird is under Immortal Treasures and Soul Time, bringing in this subtle essence. Perhaps this is yourself in the image of the mother. I'm feeling this subtle, and that song. I was singing it again before going live today. There's this beautiful song, Thank You Very Much, and I did put it on here. It's by Rising Appalachia, and we do have Tai Chi Rising here, and we have this staff which reminds me of this Kundalini Rising, and with the Tai Chi Rising and Divine Feminine with this staff, it's the Shakti Rising with her Divine Feminine authority and wisdom and grace. And it bears a mention that many people believe that the feminine is actually the shamanic leader of the tribe, and that the masculine was the hunter, and that during warlike times the masculine was in charge because of the war needing that masculine essence to be driven and such. I'll just leave that there. But then, since the war never ended, the feminine retreated and became demonized and misunderstood, and only supported the masculine, kind of nested below in a hierarchical, patriarchal type of orientation. But so this subtle energy of that softer side being nurtured was judged. It was vulnerable. It felt that it needed to be protected. And so the manipulation, or whatever it is, or the hardness, the expectation of difficulty, led many to wear masks to self-preserve and to guard and guide the self. But the time for that, I feel like this hummingbird is the rising energy ready to take flight in some manner. But these subtle essences of self became obscured and eclipsed in some way there. And so it's been hidden within in this incubation. And then we have Will o' the Wisp, treasures hidden in the shadows. That's that caged hummingbird. And so we see the wings here on the mind and the moth energy here, if you can perceive that in the camera. I cannot see it where I'm at. And there's a face emerging, but it seems like this watery mask. It's like that, the Wizard of Oz, where it's that great and powerful Oz. All of a sudden there's this great big huge face that's talking to the group, and you can see the group as the disowned self of Dorothy, perhaps, her need for courage, her need to feel wise, and her need to be flowing and not all rusted up and stuck in her patterns and just stagnant like this Tin Man. And we could go on from there, right? This presentation from Oz was like, I am the Oz, the great and powerful Oz. And maybe this is us seeing that our parents were larger than life, our teachers and our other social engagement people that we idolized, and we thought, oh, it's so easy for them. Look at them being this leader. I'm this follower. But all the time, you were actually here to become that leader, and maybe other people see this leadership potential in you and wonder why you don't just stand up and say so. Because Dorothy didn't say anything in that movie until all of a sudden Oz was tearing into her friends, into her disowned aspects, and she's like, hey, who the heck are you to say these things, right? You're just a mean guy. mean girl, whatever. And it turns out that Toto, the dog, goes behind the scenes, pulls back the veil, and here's this little man operating all these little manipulative little machinery things and projecting this larger than life image when really he was just this little guy, no different than anyone else. And so in the same way, we are this tiny little operator at the wheel of our life, you know, saying, this is who I am. He always calls when I'm online. Well, I won't be getting that call right now. But in the same way, life has interfered. Life has erected gates and walls where we were meant to follow some other paths, to take these steps where we couldn't see the way forward. We couldn't see the potential that we were. We couldn't see our beauty, our grace, and the treasure that we actually have the potential to become. And it's like, even if we could see it, we felt like we had to present ourselves in some type of other way. But through that process, there have been so many activations, and something that has been dormant for far too long is being awakened. So see this subtle energy of the mask energy, this watery consciousness realm and projected energy emerging through the process, like through the process of faking it till you make it for some, or obscure it until you can feel confident in showing it. Then we have this sphinx-like energy of the sun coming in. And these energies to me are mirroring each other. Like, this is the moon aspect, and this is the sun aspect of judging the South Node and then seeing it for everything it is, like that resilient capacity for us to say, oh no, you don't harass my friends or my family or my child or my best friend. And then witnessing yourself just like the lion. I'm seeing this like a lioness in this moment, awakening and coming forward with all of the strength and the passion to stand in your full empowerment of heart and mind without having the time or space to give it a second thought, because suddenly something was more important than the illusion. So then we have, under remembrance, eyes of the eagle rising above the fray. And by raising the voice, raising some type of dormant element of ourselves, raising that up, and or having it triggered, or having that divine timing of trust in our process, or creative spark that inspires us to just say, to hell with it. I'm bringing it all. I'm coming out of my cave. And there's a song about that by Nako and Medicine for the People, coming out of my cave, coming out of the cave. Yeah, eyes of the eagle, rising above the storms of life, to see the details, to see one's inner value. And it's this activation, I feel, of solar plexus and throat chakra as well, seeing through dimensions, healing self and others. I'm just really drawn to the eye of the eagle here, and the energetic flux that's coming through that eye, and the whole being itself is actually part of this energy signature. It's like some of you may be star seeds, or on some type of a, because I'm seeing with these two, the blue and the yellows here, and then followed with this eagle, you can see the blues and the yellows once again. But instead of being, well, this is this lunar aspect of me, and this is the solar aspect of me, saying this is the entirety of who I am in this moment. And then through that integration in that complex, symbiotic inner culmination, I'm seeing that all of a sudden the gate is open and you're seeing the light and you're beckoned to come forward from this energy. And for some of you, there may be an ancestor or spirit guide beckoning you forward with their subtle energy, saying to you that they doubted and didn't accomplish, or they held themselves back. They played something very safe, and they're beckoning you forward, saying, be who you came to be. Don't forget. Do not forget who you are. You came here to be reminded, to remember that you are that seed of the divine. And so we're all here aggravating each other into awakening. And this is the wake-up call, this very subtle, loving, soft energy saying, but come over here, come over here. It's all love in the center. When we stop overthinking and we stop projecting our thoughts too far into the future, too far into the past, or too far into other assumptions, expectations, and inviting disappointment. It's no matter what, going forward and boldly becoming yourself, who you came here to be. And always knowing that no matter how you've been shaped, that you were always that block of wood. That just because you've shaved off from the edges doesn't mean that in the etheric and mental, energetic realms that you can't actually put wood back onto the block. Because they say measure twice, cut once. Sometimes I always do measure 5 times and I still cut the stupid board too stinking short. And it's aggravating. But in that process, on the energetic planes, it's like even though we can prepare ourselves, we can measure it, we can take our plan, we can reevaluate, we can expect and project, but then sometimes we always find ourselves either overdoing or underdoing, and that's just okay because we're in this process of becoming. So under Hummingbird, under this subtle being that you were always here to be on the etheric plane here, we have this disowned self, this root girl. So some of us have had this very difficult beginning where we have judged ourselves harshly, and I believe that this is calling out to us again. Chiron, I bring up Chiron a lot. That's the wounded healer that is part of everyone's astrology. Right now it's at mid sign of Aries, and it's today in a tight trine with the Leo sun. And so this identity versus the judgment of self. And this disowned self is most likely someone with a difficult beginning that has then decided, because of their pain, suffering, or struggles, that then they are, or their strengths, weakness, opportunity, or threats that they have encountered and created meaning behind that was purposeful and growth inducing for the self, that they are able to help others to reach for their own fulfillment, their own inner integration, and their own self-development story, blending, supporting, and healing others in some type of a way. And when you are encountering the truth of having times where you've abandoned yourself, that gives you great empathy and compassion for other individuals. So we have passion and compassion. We have sympathy and empathy. So passion is drive and spark and momentum, and compassion is the feeling aspect of forgiveness and wholeness and being a witness, being the observer of any process changes the outcome. And so the reasons why people do things are sometimes because of our influence. And so maybe our estimation of an environment or a person is changed by our influence. And if we're wounded and hurt, we may be influencing something in a less beneficial way than were we whole and complete. So when we have our head down, just abandoning the self versus this clarity, look at the mimicry in those images. It's like having your head down, having been underestimated, and then being like, oh, but no, you don't take my friend for granted like that. It's like stand up for yourself in that same way with the lyric of that song, fierce yet still be subtle. I didn't realize I never said that before. It's that ferocity of the lion coming forward. It's like, I'm not going to be underestimated anymore. Or, you know, looking at something like I've been taken for granted or underestimated, or I have witnessed myself feeling envy for this person or the opportunities this person is pursuing. But I have enough ferocity to witness myself as having this subtle desire that I haven't allowed myself to passionately engage with. And so if you're feeling envious, maybe it's because you know that you have the unlimited potential to invest in yourself, to speak out, to stand up tall and to be something or someone or somehow. And you're assigning the reasons why you haven't done it to an external stimuli, when it's actually that internal process of really self-believing and understanding that even if you're slipping and sliding on the rocks on the mountainside, that you could eventually get to the top. You can use your block of wood to take that stick and dig it into the mountainside and climb up and keep going and keep going. You know, you can use vines to braid a harness and some type of a protective thing. I'm using this symbolically, right? And in our lives, it's the same way. We use the resources that we do have at our disposal to help us to reach into the things that we don't have a script for, that we were actually put here not to follow others, but to write our own script, to write our own narrative. We are blazing the pathway that we are meant to traverse here. So next we have under that treasures hidden in the shadows, we have well song resonating. Maybe you've been hanging out with the wrong group or at the wrong job, the wrong profession. Maybe you've been in your comfort zone instead of stretching yourself. Maybe you've been listening to your haters instead of to the resonance of your heart. But I sense that here, this change is coming through in conjunction with a huge transformation happening within yourself, where you are coming back into your wholeness and others are witnessing you with fresh eyes. It's like others are looking at you with like the people that all of a sudden you'll see them like they gotta put their glasses on, like, am I seeing this correctly? And I'm seeing that on the other side, through that looking glass, here you are. Can you even see that? There we go. There's that whale. Can you see the whale coming through there? It's almost like this is perhaps the hummingbird in the cage. There's this whale within this droplet, within the ocean in a drop, the hummingbird in a cage that is resonating with others in a new way. Having felt separated and limited, it's like the bubble here, it's splashing outward. It's almost like It's almost like this whale has leapt out of the water, like the hummingbird that has leapt out, has risen above and is coming forward. There's a lot of images here showing us something that has been suppressed or repressed, just gathering energy or having been pressed down so much, like pressing a spring down, 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 and then slipping, and then boom, it just jumps out for some type of a reason. It's like an opportunity or a trigger, like I said, that then we do or say something without having it pass through the mind. It comes spontaneously forward from the passions of the heart space. And then it's like this whale that leaps out with its cage intact, and then as it's reaching forward and higher, the cage bars are just disintegrating. The bubble is falling to the wayside, and the whale is then free to return into the water here. Oh, and I'm seeing musical notes, whale song resonating. Interesting. Others are, you're able to see others and how you connect with them, even if it was somebody you saw being completely opposed or opposite or antagonistic to your experience. You're able to see how they helped you to develop and to change the way that you used to hide something, bringing that into light, resonating with this soul song, resonating with your South Node Akashic inheritance is helping you to reach for the North Node of your destiny. And this here, getting back to your integrity. Integrity for some is going to be like, maybe you became mired in addictions, addictive thinking, addictive self-sabotage or something. Or it could be more subtle, like just following the crowd, following your boss's advice instead of doing something that you feel called to do. Watching TV where you're watching others live, or watching somebody with so-called reality, which is the least realistic type of storyline that I've ever had the misfortune to look at. And then realizing that TV and those type of things are an excuse for the unlived life. You know, coming back and just chilling on the couch every night, night after night, is not healthy. If you do it once in a while, or, you know, like 10 minutes or whatever a day, I guess that's your own choice, and you can gain a lot from that depending on what you're watching. Take that however you need to. However, if you take 10 minutes a night and listen to some meaningful music, or if you take 10 minutes a day and meditate, 10 minutes a day and just deep breathe, or to make a commitment to look at nature and watch the birds or something, and watch them moving around, to watch the trees dance in the wind and rain. There's something there about getting back to receptive mode, I want to say. And so as we change the way that we express ourselves and the way that we feel and care for ourselves in those type of a way, we're more inspired. We're more empowered to do different things with our time. Time is a construct, time is an illusion, but time is also fleeting, and we have opportunities. And if we are only sitting on a couch, we're obviously going to have limited opportunities compared to somebody who's out there stretching themselves and getting to know others. On the other end, we can be out going and peopling all day long and never sitting in our own energy. So whichever extreme you find yourself going towards. There's a getting back to the balance point of self-expression, of what did I come here to do besides watch other people live their lives and other people tell me what reality is like. We can create our own reality, and getting our own compass out. Our compass is calibrated to our soul inheritance here, to our Akashic inheritance. And when we're following that, we are following these wisps of subtle energy. Come this way, follow your passions. And your compass is like, yeah, that sounds really good. Or, well, that sounds indulgent, and I'll just go and do that. Just self-soothe, whatever. I'm having a lot of pressure in my third eye today as I'm doing this reading. Other people might call it a headache, but to me, I understand that it's a message coming through. So if you're having different twinges in your head or in your chakra systems, you may find it helpful to take a moment of silence and to put your attention on the pressure. Don't assign a meaning of pain to it unnecessarily. It's uncomfortable if you think that it's pain, if you think that it's suffering, then it becomes disappointing. It becomes disappointing because we expect it to be pressure equals pain. But does it always? Pressure can be pushing us forward through the gate, pressing us. Quiet your mind, sit in silence, turn off the lights and lay in bed for a moment to calm your mind and move into the pressure. What is this pressure trying to tell me? Do I need to relax into that energy? Do I need to listen to the subtle realms? Do I need to shut off the TV and unplug my phone for a minute? And getting back into this space is going to illuminate something dramatically for us. And then we have this Eyes of the Eagle rising above the fray under remembrance. Then we have the Unmarked Trail, revelation. So this is something that has us either twisted up, tied in knots. It's like we've been trying to conform in some type of a way. We've been trying to walk the labyrinth, and we don't see farther than the 2 steps in front of our path. But we're able now, through this process here, this is to me showing the same thing that this staff is. See the twist of that Kundalini energy. And this one to me often shows me one individual reaching towards another, like that. I'm seeing that old classical painting. I have no idea who it's by. Is it Botticelli or something like that, or is it Michelangelo? Anyways, it's this finger of God and the finger of man reaching across, and in the center. Ooh, that gave me a little bit of a chill there. It's like being in this receptive mode as we are rising up. What we are seeking is also seeking us on the 3rd dimension, as well as from above, as above, so below. And so the spiritual resonance is coming forward. We are seeing through the storm by rising above the storm. We're connected to our divinity. We're connected to the divine in general. And the higher we rise, the more evident we become to others, because they're below us and they see us taking flight. And this is something that is perhaps unexpected. And yeah, it's like the master observes the world but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. So in that moment of silence and of quietude and dimming the lights, of silencing the mind and coming into the receptive mode through meditation and soul time practice here allows the outer world to stop being so distracting, to stop seeming larger than we are. Oh, and that Matt Kahn has another thing where he says, I am not bigger than God. God is not bigger than me. In this way, we are being shown that as above, so below, the correspondence of we are this divine seed. But in our initial process of descending spirit into matter, we had to hit some point to recognize that it was our destiny and our it was the point of our destiny, that north node of destiny, that was telling us that once we got all the way down and established our roots directly, once the roots of the plant have been firmly established, its one mission is to rise up, 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 and to reach upwards and create this huge umbrella of experience, reaching forward, and a bigger presence, I want to say, because it's like the umbrella of the tree is a mirror image of the roots below. We'll see that in depictions of the tree of life. And you can see this girl here was very rooted, and she has these twisted branches coming out here and then she's shedding these fall, autumn leaves here. So it's like this shedding of the old, the purging of the old, merging with our light, and this enabling us to emerge, to rise above the fray here, and then to resonate with other individuals in some type of a very meaningful way in this convergence that is coming very soon and is at hand for many. You may already be connecting with new individuals, new experiences, and making some new boss moves here. So the last card here in the shamanic deck under Divine Feminine and Farther Gate, Bold Step Forward, is Deep Diver. And this reminds me of having dipped deeply below the surface. This is an ongoing process of, the tree doesn't just put its roots down once and then grow up, 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 up. As above, so below. So the deep diver diving into a task is like, because we're rising above in a new way, there's a huge growth process happening below the surface as well. So the deeper that we go in this moment, the more that we shed the old, the more liberated our energy becomes, because as we purge what doesn't belong and we allow clarity and space and expansion to happen, the more light that happens. It's like the hot air balloon that then there's this fiery passion ignited below the balloon, and because it heats that air with that gas, it's lighter than the air around it and it rises above. So I definitely see this staff here as above, so below again and again. It's like this process of having been at the depths of ourselves, seeking the light, seeking the clarity, and witnessing the immortality of our treasures, the legacy that we're here to perpetuate and to redevelop. And then we have this Mahakali here that is, it reminds me of the Seven of Cups in the Tarot, where there's all these options, and we've been through many incarnations, we've been through many ways of being. We may have felt like the oppressor or murderer of different energies in our past, like shutting people down. We've been conjuring different things. We've cut things free from our experience. We've got this lotus of grace and beauty, as well as the lotus of wisdom and spiritual truth, the evolution, the enlightenment process. and the fire there, boundaries and receptivity all at once here. And I really want to read the card, and I'll do so in just a moment because we are in a really long reading. Tai Chi Rising, again, this is about rising the energies within yourself, the spiritual energy rising up within us. And yes, I'm going to read that one first. So Tai Chi Rising, your energy field is growing stronger with more spiritual electricity pulsing through your being. Take time to nourish your nervous system as it adjusts, and be gentle with yourself as you adjust to increasing levels of spiritual potency, which gives more impact to your words, actions, and thoughts. So the more light that you're able to embody, the more influential and impactful and triggering you will appear to other individuals. So I just want to read a little bit more. Having a big energy field does not necessarily mean that you have a high level of consciousness, but when you do have an exquisite awareness and a beautiful light, it's able to shine more brightly through a larger energy field. Whatever you have within you, a larger energy field will reveal it with greater gusto. So this is the rising up process that is revealing your skills to all with the eyes to see you. They're like taking a second look here. And then the Immortal Treasures 14. This, I feel, is that South Node. You carry within you precious, immortal treasures, beloved. They exist beyond life and death, belonging to the celestial, heavenly realms of the divine presence within you. Kuan Yin now guides you to honor these treasures, the gifts of your soul, which include the ability that you have to transmit healing. Honor yourself as a healer, beloved. Whether formally or informally, your soul brings a special healing light to humanity. You have divine support in your role as a healer in whatever way, usual or highly unusual, that this is unfolding for you now. So each soul's unique and precious in its own way, right? Certain souls have the light of healing, and yours is one such soul. Your presence on this planet brings light and hope to others, sometimes in ways that you don't consciously recognize. Kuan Yin is with you, guiding you to be open to perceiving and utilizing the immortal treasures that lay within you, the beautiful light and gifts of your own divine soul. Just remember to take care of yourself too. An empty cup cannot fill another. Remember, we're talking about this, realizing how to become your own mother and your own nurturer, your own emotional validation. It is better to allow your inner cup to be spiritually filled and emotionally and physically replenished through balanced self-care, a bit of indulgence balanced with loving discipline and boundaries that make you feel safe and secure within. To find the right way to care for yourself, explore what might work for you. It might be yoga and meditation and a little sacred time each day to sit with a crystal or a talk from your heart with your guidance, a health retreat, time in nature, a good book, and some time laughing or playing with loved ones. Your healing ability will find new levels of power and strength through exploration of self-care. The immortal treasures of the soul are to be shared with loving respect of your own self, as well as that respect for others. Beautiful, right? And then this Mahakali card is my favorite here right now. Her magnificence steadies the anxious mind and reassures the heart of the empowering grace that arises through trust in her. Attempting to fathom the wisdom behind the workings of the Divine Mother would be like trying to cram the entire ocean into a teacup. Such wisdom is vast, and our perspective is limited, yet we don't need to understand divine will to benefit from it. Better to allow her creativity, resourcefulness, and unlimited vision to take effect in our lives, bringing us every grace necessary for our balanced and blessed fulfillment. First of the 10 wisdom goddesses or Mahavidyas is the 10 Armed Mahakali. She is laden with her sacred weapons. Many arms and weapons symbolize the capacity of the Divine Mother to work beyond human limitations. The contrast is not intended to diminish the dignity of our humanity. Humans have a tremendous capacity for heroism. Heroism. For kindness. I lost my place. I'm so sorry. A tremendous capacity for heroism, kindness, love, grace, and generosity. Rather, it is an encouragement to engage with the divine with perfect trust in our hearts. Multiple weapons represent multiple creative powers to conquer multiple issues. So we may be talking about multiversal, and we may be talking about the inner landscape and self-limitation here as well. More than 2 arms indicate that divine workings are not limited by our human perspectives or capacities. This is reassuring. The divine can accomplish works beyond what would be possible through human effort alone. She is the guardian of the cosmic order, and Mahakali means the great Kali. She is the one who selects the timing for all unfoldment. Nothing can be accomplished without the necessary preparation and not before the right time for it. Such process and timing are determined according to the higher wisdom, capable of assessing and meeting the spiritual needs of all beings simultaneously. We're all walking each other home. We cannot know what the order of events must be to accomplish the Divine Mother's purpose. In hindsight, we may attain glimpses of her unfolding genius, but to live in harmony with her requires us to trust in what is unfolding and to work with that. Even when events seem to be going against us or we cannot see the way to succeed, how do we proceed with such trust? There's no magic to it. It's a choice that we make again and again. When we sense the next step is before us, we proceed. When we need to wait, we wait. We do not try to force it, but we tune into our hearts and sense what is guided in each moment. We allow ourselves to feel intimately known and connected with the divine as our ally. We recognize that a sequencing of certain events needs to happen. This enables lessons to be learned so that we are ready at every stage for what needs to come next. We're not being denied or blocked. We are being loved. It is protective compassion that prevents us from seeing anything other than the next 1 or 2 steps ahead. To know more is not always helpful. Although if specific knowledge would help us on our path, then we can be sure that it will come to us. When will it happen? Mahakali reminds us that it will be at the best possible time. It may be after we've acknowledged there's a problem that we need to resolve, or when we've created some mental space so that an essential understanding is not lost in psychological clutter. If you've ever felt like you have your best insights after a shower or after you switch off during a yoga class or an exercise session, then you have experienced how much easier it is to access inner guidance when you switch off and empty the mind. Be here now and attend to what you can attend to now, leaving all else until the right moment is upon you. Your heart shall instinctively know that moment without needing to be told. All that is happening now is growing you toward that moment. All that has happened before has grown you into your capacity for this moment. This is as it is in Mahakali's beautiful wisdom dance as she wields the weapons needed to provide the right conditions, the right endings, the right beginnings within which the soul can flourish. Trust that what's happening now will give way to a new expression when the time is right. This will be when your readiness matches the requirements for success, and when those two can benefit from your increasing soul awakening, have awoken themselves sufficiently also. So when your audience is ready as well. Attend to your work with determination and hope in your heart. Trust that the divine is taking care of everything else. So knowing that things are moving we keep to the feminine of trust and faith and belief that everything is as it is. Not complacently so, but trusting and listening to the subtle, not watching the colors and the sounds and the flavors with that Dorito flavor mentality. Some people will say that Dorito taste buds. It's like, when you're eating Doritos, can you appreciate just a plain tortilla? Or when you're out going in this intensity, and then you go into the subtle realms, does it feel boring? Is your mind still going like, oh, I have to think about this, I have anxiety about that? Or are you willing and able to let that clutter, psychological clutter, and that dust settle around you so that you can see, feel, and hear with the third eye instead of these eyes that only perceive of the third dimension and the fourth dimensional clutter? So this is a really long one. I so appreciate all of you who have made it to the end of this reading. It felt incredibly amazing to me to deliver this message for you. I hope it was meaningful. And I will just leave you with one of these love notes from the universe now. And I may do another quickie read after this one since it was such a long one. So what do we have for you? There we go. The only difference between a friend and a foe is that you've decided where love can grow. It says, ho, the universe. There isn't a soul on the planet who doesn't crave your approval. Love doesn't have to mean near. Oh, your treasure is at hand. I love that. Immortal Treasures. And where was the other one? Treasures hidden in the shadows. Beautiful. Your treasure is at hand, and you are holding the universe in the palm of your hand. The universe is your partner, and your energy field is growing, and you are outgrowing your past limiting self-expression and emerging into your full resonance. Whales can resonate and hear whale calls from hundreds of miles away, I heard. Correct me if I'm incorrect in that. But in the same way, there's this timelessness and resonance and entangled energy of souls at a distance. Trust that what you are seeking is seeking you, and it is just waiting for that divine timing. Have faith, have belief, and just go within yourself, and you create that magnetism within yourself. Love you so very much. Take good care of yourself during this time of activation and perhaps overstimulation, and have that downtime. Unplug and really nurture yourself through this time. Take care of you, and we'll be back soon.